Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. I'm Andrew.
And I'm angry.
Yeah, same.
I'm not even Jake this week.
No,
I'm just straight pissed off.
Welcome to Mr. Angry Eyes.
I did bring them, I did pack them, just in case, as soon as the referendum was announced.
Yeah.
I put them away.
Yeah.
Look guys, I'll be honest with you. I'm sick of Brexit. I didn't want to do another podcast on Brexit. We were both discussing all these things we were going to talk about when we met up. It was going to be this, it's going to be that, it was going to be fun, it was going to be deep. And then the news happens.
Boris
as it
done
does.
something else, as always.
And he's just... Boy, when you think he can't surprise you anymore, eh?
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't even say it's that big a surprise. It was something they tipped him to do before he even took number 10, to be fair.
It was very well documented from before he even went into Parliament, before he even went into number 10.
Yeah.
They said Boris is very likely to prorogue, and this is the news, Boris has prorogued Parliament. He's officially...
Right, so the way to start this is by saying what prorogation is. Basically, it's not... People are getting confused, I think. They're saying that he's suspending Parliament in general. He's not. What he's doing is currently Parliament are debating no-deal Brexit, whether to do it or not, essentially, because Boris has said that regardless of what happens on the 31st of October, we will be leaving the EU. And because the EU won't negotiate any further, it means no deal is a near certainty. So what proroguing does is it allows him to suspend the current session of Parliament, which means the MPs have less time to debate the issue and decide what we're going to do. Yeah,
but I mean, basically, the MPs are on holiday.
Yes.
They were due back on, I believe it is the 9th of September.
Correct.
They would have come back after their summer holidays. Now, personally, for me, during this political crisis, and I think it's safe to say it is a political crisis, well, we're all allowed a holiday, but very much a short holiday.
Yeah.
Just
a couple of weeks.
10 days to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And say, do you know what, guys, because of the situation, let's come back early and let's fucking hammer this out.
I mean, they paid a lot of money, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the base salary is like 70 grand.
Yeah.
77 maybe, and they meet every couple of years to... Honestly, if Brexit were offering a fucking parliamentary raise, they'd be in session from 9 a.m. till 8 in the evening discussing this fucking hard. Then backbenches would be full.
Absolutely.
But they're not.
No.
They're discussing just something small like the future of the country.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I mean, and the thing is, it's very difficult not to sound dramatic when you talk about Brexit, because it genuinely is incredibly damaging.
And here's what I think, and I'm thinking it out loud, as I often do with the pods, in case you couldn't tell. I think it's very clever from the government, from the incumbent prime ministers in their the respective prime ministers, because in delaying Brexit and keep pushing it on and pushing a new deal, then taking it away and pushing a new deal, and basically filling up the news with Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. Every news programme, Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. Every newspaper, Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. What it does is it makes people, us, you, me, not necessarily you or me, just go, oh, who fucking cares?
Absolutely.
Brexit again. And it's like, that's where it's clever, because then eventually it goes, right, we might actually... I was like, yes, please do. I don't want to know what you're doing. Just do it. And it's really damaging and it's really clever.
Yeah.
But we should all care, regardless of how it's shoved down our throats 24/7.
I mean, I met a girl the other day, really nice girl.
What an odd time to brag.
No, but she was, it was at a gathering. And
you go to gatherings?
I do, occasionally I go to gatherings.
You're that kind of guy, I've noticed that.
Yeah, I like gatherings.
Very social
occasions, social affairs. And she was quite young, not in terms of illegally young, but I think she just turned 18 not that long ago. And I was actually telling her about our podcast.
Promoting the brand?
Yeah, and she actually said she was going to listen to it, and she said, what sort of stuff do you talk about? And I said, well, we talk about politics. She said, oh, I'll be interested to listen to that because I know absolutely nothing.
But as we've discussed, most people do.
No.
Don't.
So I said to her, do you know what's going on with Brexit at the moment? She was like, no, absolutely no idea. And then I was like, do you know who the party is in charge of the country at the moment? She had no idea. And normally, before recently, I'd have probably been quite annoyed about that, but I actually think it's quite common.
And given the whole kerfuffle might be too light a word,
Yeah.
but given the whole kerfuffle of Brexit,
People show even less of an interest.
kind of makes sense.
I mean, even my mum, she's quite an intelligent woman, but she's so uninterested because of how often Brexit is talked
Politicians
about.
have always been, politics has always been politicians have always been inept and selfish and useless. But through the kind of dribble and bureaucracy of day-to-day politics, that kind of gets hidden quite a lot. And it's only really if you pay attention, and rather than a glancing comment, you'd be like, well, these guys are fucking, they don't know, they're useless.
Yeah.
Brexit's really shown up everyone's ineptitude and their complete inability to cope with anything.
Yeah.
But actually, I must stop for a moment because, and this is just, and I've
You should see the cheeky look on his face right now. It's quite frightening.
Because I was listening to our last podcast.
Right.
Because I account for about a third of the viewership, and in our last podcast, I promised a rap. In this podcast, I promised a rap, and I said that most people would be disappointed when we didn't rap. Well, now they'll be disappointed when I do.
Oh God.
That's right.
All right.
I'm gonna rap.
I'm gonna sit here quietly.
No, you're not.
Myself.
No, you're not. Biggie, drop me a beat. Drop me a fat beat. Alright. Yo, when Stormzy said fuck Boris, it stirred some feelings up if I'm being completely honest, and I would like to put him in a ring with fucking Chuck Norris. I struggle to see why people violently rebel, but when this prick does this shit, it makes me want to as well. Like, what the hell? This selfish ass dick shuts the whole country just so we can do this shit? The government's getting what? Prorogued by this fucking eat and raise cartoon chode? Because he'd be willing to kill him, not feeling a villain, with his vision to rid him of villains on trellis and get this prick fits the bill of a man who'd fuck the world just to put it in his hands. So what's the plan? We rise up and rebel, fuck Boris and fuck the government as well.
Whoop whoop.
That's right. That's right. Just a little taster, because I made a promise.
I like that.
And I will follow through on all my promises.
Oh, you tried to go a bit rap god in there, and you tried to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, bear in mind I wrote it about. I think when you said you were on your way, I was like, oh yeah, fuck, I thought I was going to do that. Right, better get that done. Not that it shows.
No, I thought that was alright, to be fair.
A few highlights to take from that. Number one, fuck Boris.
Yeah.
Number two, fuck the government.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah.
There's takeaways.
I'd like to add fuck Dominic Raab. Just any opportunity.
I mean, what a prick.
Yeah.
And he's nowhere near this fucking shit show anymore. Well, he is.
Well, he's in the
not.
cabinet.
He is, but he's not.
But it was funny, I was watching a debate show this morning on the news.
Yeah, no, we're cultured. We get it. You're cultured.
And
you're better than everyone.
They said they got a balanced sort of group of people in to talk to. It's frightening how many people think he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot, and I've spoken to a lot of people that have been, most of them just at the end of their tether with Brexit, as we discussed. They just want out, and they're like, fucking no deal's no big deal. But here's the thing. Let me try and put it to you in this way, and this is either going to go brilliantly or horribly because I'm totally making it up on the spot. Let's say you are a dealer of kinds. You sell a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And you sell mostly at like car boot sales, for example. And you go to one car boot sale and they've got rules. You can only sell certain things. They're only open at certain times, so you have to be in and out at a certain time. Prices, there's a certain price guide that you have to abide by. There's a fee that you have to pay them. Yeah. That's fine. Then also another couple of days in the week you go and sell at another car boot sale where they sell exclusively different items to the first one. And then again, different fees, different times, and then a third one where perhaps it's all on order, so you don't take anything with you and people order things and you bring it to them the next time that you're there. If then a new car boot sale opened up,
yeah,
and they weren't willing to tell you any of their opening times,
yeah,
what they would sell and what they wouldn't sell,
yeah,
what their fee was if there was going to be a fee,
yeah,
what your prices would be, you'd give it a miss. You just wouldn't go there until they'd sorted it out, because you know eventually they'll have to sort it out to get people in.
Yeah.
And you go, do you know what? I'm going to give that a miss. that's kind of what no deal Brexit is in terms of trading standards, because at the moment everything's run on the EU standards, and I get people want to take that back and whatever, and I'm not against, at this point I'm not against Brexit. I am against Brexit, but I'm not, if that makes sense. At this point I want people to understand the perils of a no deal Brexit, because no one's going to trade with us if they don't know what they're trading with.
The problem is the only real option if we want to actually leave the EU is no deal. There's no way round the Irish backstop without causing untold issues going forward.
Absolutely, and here's where I want to push another agenda. And we tried to be really impartial. I tried to be really impartial. If you go way back, if you're with us from the beginning, I did try and be impartial, and it was noted that wasn't very successful. So fuck the impartiality.
I'm just going to tell you what we think.
The best choice forward, and I'm not saying this as a Ramona or anything like that. I'm genuinely, and this is from a middle ground standpoint, from a neutral standpoint. The best way forward is through a second referendum. Because quite frankly, even the people who voted for no deal, even if now that 52% turns into 60% who want to vote for Brexit, and it's increased, I guarantee nowhere near a majority of those Brexiteers would vote for a no deal Brexit. That's not on. In the situation where we're more and more likely, it looks like we're going for a no deal Brexit, the more and more companies that are reducing their trade significantly with us. We're losing jobs, we're losing stock. I mean, I know we've said it before, but guys, all the heads of the supermarkets are telling you
there's going to be a huge food shortage.
Go out and stockpile long-term foods, canned goods.
They've said regardless of severity, there will be a food shortage. So basically,
best case scenario,
there's going to be a food shortage. So if it's even slightly worse than best case scenario, and
it's exactly the same with the NHS with medication. We are getting told from the top, prepare for a shortage of medicines.
I mean, genuinely, I said to my partner, with my next pay, because I've staggered to go on this month, but my next pay, sorry, next month technically, but my next pay, I'm going to go to a supermarket and I'm stocking up on tinned foods, dried food, basic medicines like paracetamol, things like that, because there will be a shortage if we go out with no deal.
There absolutely will be a shortage. And the thing as well is we're heading towards a place where, to get the things, you look outside of the EU and you look at these countries that have setups, that have deals in place. Well, do you know what? Quite a lot of them don't have a national health service.
No.
Certainly not like ours. It's private medical insurance. Now, most of the good ones, not to knock anyone, America, most of the good ones, most employments will offer full coverage.
Yeah.
And it is full coverage, and it's a sort of it doesn't feel that bad.
Those are only certain jobs, so even then.
We're heading towards a place where it's going to be America, where you've got a decision where the cost of someone sending an ambulance is so great that you could be having a fucking heart attack, and you've got to check your bank balance and say, do you know what? Turn it around, send it back. I'll die on the street. I'll Uber it, and if I die in the Uber, I'll fucking die in the Uber.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds dramatic, but it is dramatic, and Brexit's boring. I get that. No one wants to hear any more about Brexit, but guys, take this seriously.
Yeah,
please.
And again, it's been very widely understood that the main thing Trump wants to do a deal with Great Britain on if we leave the EU is the NHS. He wants to privatise the NHS. And quite frankly, we're not going to have a lot of choice.
No, we're not. We're going to be in the...
They're going to be our main trading partner, and the main thing we have to negotiate with is the NHS.
Can we spare a moment here during this pod just to give ourselves a break from Brexit and talk about the other dominant news persona of the Trump, the Donald? Because his business deals. He wants to privatise the NHS. He wanted to buy Greenland.
Yeah.
He didn't put in a bid. He put in an inquiry to Denmark. Greenland currently occupied by Denmark.
Yeah.
and he sort of said to reach out to Denmark and was like, if would you sell it? And they said no.
What was his reason for wanting to buy it?
He didn't say. The ex-Prime Minister of Denmark did comment, I quite liked this. He just said, I'm really glad that I'm the ex-Prime Minister and I don't have to be coy. The guy's a fucking moron. I like that.
No, so do I.
But he, the best part is that he's putting this bid for Greenland. We're all pissing ourselves laughing. Anyone who sees the news is pissing themselves laughing. And then a few days later, it's a gift that just sort of gives one last little gift, because then he was like, well, I'm not coming to Denmark then. Cancel his state visit.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going.
And they're like, fine.
It's like, oh no. Yeah, I mean, God, could you think we can, I don't know, kill Trump, put Boris in his place, and just America can have Boris? They'd love him. It's very good.
The thing is, who would take over from Boris?
Literally anyone.
Dominic Raab?
Literally anyone bar Dominic Raab.
Sajid Javid?
Have a fucking free-for-all.
I mean, I think in reality there's two things that really frustrate me with what's going on at the moment. One is Labour, in particular Jeremy Corbyn, because with all of this going on, he is still no closer to becoming Prime Minister.
Do you know what's interesting? I've heard nothing from Corbyn.
I've only seen one news clip with him since, and I believe he was stood outside his home in the morning and he was being asked about it, and he said, the stuff you can imagine, which is it's an assault on our democracy.
But since this kind of no deal thing, since Boris came in and the whole no deal thing took a step further, I really haven't heard much from Corbyn at all.
I still don't know where Labour stands.
About a year ago was the time when May was like digging her grave. It was like, shut up, Jeremy. Let her dig her way down. That's the time you be quiet.
Yeah.
She digs down, and by proxy, just by sheer default, you're actually up. You're winning.
But somehow.
But now is not the time to be quiet. When like you said, when there is an assault on democracy, and this is the thing, just to get back to the issue, is Parliament will reopen 2 weeks before the deadline.
Yeah.
2 weeks to discuss the single biggest event.
Yeah.
Or the terms of the single biggest event in our country's history.
The other thing I'm really frustrated with is Parliament. I don't blame them fully, but there has been no unified approach to dealing with the issue.
No, do you know what I've heard a lot of in the last couple of weeks, particularly in the last couple of days? I've heard a lot of people saying, or politicians saying, there's it's going to be a real cross-party effort, cross-party talks, cross-party.
It's a bit late.
There is fuck all cross-party going on. It's words. It's empty words.
But
get
also,
your asses in gear.
Even if it was happening, it's far too late. And also, there's no one out there currently that I would back, that even if there was cross-party stuff going on, that could be popular enough and gain enough momentum.
No, because all politicians have really slipped since Brexit.
Yeah. The fact is, for the last, it must be,
and that's why.
Is it 4 or 5 years now Corbyn's been the opposition leader?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Yeah, probably since the last election.
Yeah, and he is still as close to becoming Prime Minister now as he was then, which is next.
He's as close he was when he was a backbencher.
Yeah,
with great respect.
And it's so frustrating, and I can understand why people don't want to engage with it, because quite frankly, I can't see what the way out is. I can't see anyone that I would. There's no leader of any party. Now, don't get me wrong, I currently support the Green Party, but I wouldn't back Caroline Lucas to deal with this situation.
Well, here's an interesting thing. So I saw a poll. Bear in mind this is going back a few months, admittedly, but I saw a poll, and I can't remember the figures, and I apologise, and I can't quote the source of it because it was only I saw it in passing. But it linked up with what I'd seen in the TV with someone who'd made a real rise in terms of, when people were asked, would you be happy with them as Prime Minister, was Tony Blair. And it's like, do you remember that totally illegal war he started, and how 15 years ago, or 12 years ago, he was the worst politician in history. You know, he was like he was the devil. And yet now, Brexit has made such a fucking fuck up. There's no other way for it. Of
people would actually go back to
that people are looking back at that going, yeah, but at least you know, he could lead. At least he'd get us out of it.
I wonder what Middle Eastern country we'd end up in war with to make it happen, though.
Well, a lot of them are in war with themselves now. We could probably just smooth in and join it. Yemen.
Shout
out to Yemen.
I feel quite disheartened by it all at the moment. I'm angry about it.
I see what else I'm really angry with. What really frustrates me is the people, and it's mostly middle-aged people. Older middle-aged, of like 50, 60, who didn't live through the Second World War, but glamorise it. And when we're saying there's going to be food shortages, they're going to go, you know, good. It brings the British spirit, and it makes us stronger.
Oh, well, let's live like a third world country to unify ourselves.
Yeah, it's like, no. It's all well and good going, you know, when you've literally got no choice because there's a war on, to say, oh, rationing and let's pull together and that. But when we're doing it because we're fucking morons and the government can't pull themselves together, no, let's not support that. They piss me off.
The thing is, it's also, face it,
glamorising this horrible time.
Theresa May wasted a lot of time that we had to sort the mess out.
Yeah.
The truth is, Theresa May didn't believe in Brexit. But when she was Home Secretary before the vote, she said as much that no deal especially would be the worst possible outcome imaginable. And that Brexit, no matter what way you did it, was going to be hugely damaging to the country. But she sold her soul to become Prime Minister and then wasted months and months trying to put through a deal in different forms that was never going to pass.
Well, you know I've got a lot of... I don't like what she did, I don't like the way she did it, but I've got a lot of respect and admiration for Theresa May. It was a poison chalice, it was a lose-lose situation. She didn't have to take it on. She could have done what Boris did, or he's not now, but she could have done what Boris did then and said, you know what, I will be Prime Minister, not now, not like this, not here.
The thing is, I think Boris is going to try and approach it after all is said and done, a bit like Theresa May will. She will say that I did everything I could to deliver what the people wanted, and Boris will say, if the shit hits the fan, I'm just doing what the people voted for, or I did what the people voted for.
What's worrying as well, and I apologise for keep using the phrase "I'll tell you." What's really frustrating as well, and worrying, is that most would accept, certainly in the tabloids, that Farage is one of the most pro-Brexit politicians, or senior politicians, right? And yet you can quote him going back not even that long, but certainly a few years ago when the referendum happened, quoting that no deal was bad.
Yeah.
No deal was bad for the country, bad for the people. And yet now we're glamorising it. I said we're likening it to that World War II. If you ask anyone that genuinely lived through the Second World War as a sort of like old enough to remember it, and you know, but almost adult decisions being made during that time, like, would you like to go back to that way of living before there was a National Health Service, before there was, you know, capitalism ablaze, before, you know, when you had to really ration things? Would you go back to that? Fuck no.
Yeah.
Fuck no, would I go back to it?
No.
And yet here we are facing a situation where we're glamorising it, and we're saying how good it was and how good it will be to get back to it. And all the pro-Brexit, nearly all of the pro-Brexit politicians have said at some point during the campaign, during the Brexit campaign for the last few years, have said no deal is a bad deal. They've all said we'll go out. Not with no deal. We're not going to have no deal, that would just be fucking stupid. And yet Boris comes in and is like, people want out, the people will get out. No deal it is.
I think the problem with the whole mess is I don't think... It all started because David Cameron could not have conceived in his wildest dreams
that Brexit would win. And here's the thing as well, I don't consider... Oh, God, I keep saying here's the thing, or I'll tell you, but...
He actually underestimated, and it says a lot for a Conservative leader to underestimate how fucking stupid the general public of this country are. Or just not even a Conservative, any politician to underestimate how stupid we are as a country.
Here's the thing, when I kept pushing in the initial period for a second referendum, about 12, 15 months after the referendum, when I kept pushing for a second vote, part of my reasoning, and I don't think it's changed, is that I still strongly believe that while in a mathematical definition alone 52 to 48 is a majority, it's not a majority. That is a very close split. And when you realise that there were horrendous lies told on both sides, I'm not just going to sit here and say, oh, do you remember when they told you the 350 billion for the blah blah blah? Both sides, because neither side knew what they were doing. We were then at that point 12 to 15 months in. Like I said, we're now 3 years in. No one knows what they're doing. No one's come closer to even looking like they know what they're doing.
No.
This is not what anyone voted for. We've already, like I said, we've already seen a downturn in jobs. The pound is at
isn't it near enough on line with the euro now?
It's near enough on line with the euro, and it's peaked at the lowest it's been for a very long time. All these signs are saying that the economy and the world around us think Brexit is bad. Brexit is bad.
We're still in the EU, and this is how badly.
And yet companies are pulling things. There's loads of companies that were going to produce stuff in the UK that have then decided, actually, do you know what?
It's going to be cheaper.
We're going to make it somewhere else. All this stuff, none of this anyone voted for, and I think you have to have a second referendum because now the picture's a lot clearer. Now we know. We are now facing a no deal because, as you said, because of the backstop, there is no real way to push a deal through.
The options are essentially either you will, in the long term, tear apart the United Kingdom, or no deal.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So we're looking at the UK and saying what we can provide for ourselves and whatever. Well,
we won't be able to.
What's going to happen is Ireland are going to unify.
Yep.
We immediately lose Northern Ireland.
Yep.
That's going to kind of re-energise Scotland, and also in the wake of Brexit, Scotland quite largely voted to stay.
Well, yeah, the majority voted to stay.
They're gonna separate.
Yeah.
And then you've lost. Okay, we don't have that much in Northern Ireland that can't be done here. We have a bit, and I'm not knocking Northern Ireland, but a large part of our money is Scottish oil money.
Yeah.
Well, that's gone. Forget that. Now we're really fighting up against it. Yeah. It's just us and poor old Wales who are standing there like the poor kid that's like, go ahead, leave, we don't need you, we got Wales and us will be fine, and Wales really don't want to be there either.
No.
But they know they're too small to make it on their own.
Yeah. It's quite... the thing is, it sounds dramatic, but it's quite apocalyptic when you actually start breaking it down.
It is apocalyptic.
But the thing is, when you listen, like when I was listening to the debate this morning, the amount of people that were just saying, but it's the will of the people, we voted to do this, and it's like, yeah, but...
No, we didn't vote to do this. We didn't vote to do this. No. We voted to leave the EU under the belief that we would have a deal, under the belief that we could go on, trading, under the belief that we could go... This is not what we voted for.
But also, I don't understand why, as a politician, you'd want to be the one who's remembered for taking us out
fucking
of
country up.
Do you know what I mean? Like, David Cameron, for the rest of his life now, will be known as the man who brought about Brexit.
Yeah, no,
amongst the fact he fucked a pig's head. A dead pig's head.
He fucked a dead pig's head? Second worst thing he's ever done.
Yeah. And that says a lot.
That does say a lot. I mean, this is the thing, because of Brexit, we're now looking at, like I said, we're looking at Tony Blair and being like, the Iraq war wasn't that bad, I mean...
Alright, so what, there wasn't any news?
We all make mistakes.
Yeah, so what, you agreed to go to war without talking to Parliament?
Yeah, that's like, look, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Let the guy have a break. At least you
didn't fuck a pig's head and didn't bring about Brexit.
Yeah, at least you weren't part of Brexit.
Yeah.
I mean, just, what a truly horrific situation we're sitting in.
And the truth is, the only real option to avoid all the shit that's going to come with it is for people to give up their pride just a tiny bit and agree that the fair thing to do would be to have another vote. But the thing is, even if we did have another vote and say we got a majority to say stay, there's then going to be an argument, well, it's now 1-1.
Yeah.
So then, do you have a third referendum?
No, people say, oh, you voted again to get what you want. Look, we've got to face facts. We've polarised the country. We've split them apart. There is no bringing us back together. There's not. I say now, because no matter what happens going forward, we're now at a point where either we go through with it and there's people on, our side, for example, saying, well, this isn't what people voted for. This isn't fair. We need another vote. Yeah. Or we have another vote and people go, oh, just keep doing it till you get what you want. Till you get the result you want. And there's no winning. My solution, very simple. Gather up all the horses. Get the Queen armoured up and a top one at the front.
Yeah. On the most regal looking horse.
I don't expect the Duke of Edinburgh to fight. He's very ill. He'd probably crash his horse. But the Queen up front with a sword. Let's have a coup. Let's take back government and let's give power to the Queen. Because can you imagine fucking armoured up, sword brandishing Queen Elizabeth kicks down the doors in Brussels and says, "Let my people go." They'll give her whatever the fuck she wants.
The thing is, the one thing we haven't even actually mentioned is the petition to stop proroguing.
Well, here's the thing,
it's already hit a million.
I'm so sorry for here's the thing.
Now, this is the point I was going to make that I had in my head when I saw how many people had signed the petition as of last night. I haven't checked it today. But as of last night, when I signed a petition to stop proroguing, it hit over 1 million. It was just approaching 1 million.
And here's the interesting thing. It was started in the
only 150,000 people voted Boris to be Prime Minister.
Yeah, and...
So now, over 100 times... 10 times, sorry?
You just keep going to you do whatever maths you want to do.
10 times the amount of people that voted for Boris voted to stop what he's trying to do.
Yeah, how rapidly it happens is these petitions take a while to get off the ground. Generally, there's loads. If you go onto the government website, there's loads. This thing started in the afternoon. You signed it from my sharing. Yeah. So and it was quite quick. It was probably within about 3 minutes or so of me sharing it that you signed it. Let's be generous and say 5. Well, when I signed it, it was on 850,000 people, which means in about 4 or 5 minutes,
it jumped another 100,000.
Another 150,000 people have signed that petition. It was about 1.3 this morning. Yeah. It's ever rising. Like we said when we did the Boris Johnson episode, feel free to go back and check it out if you're new to us here. If you're new to us here on the Crossing Swords podcast, we said there's no other Prime Minister that's been protested from the day before they got into power.
No.
People are taking the streets, and genuinely, I honestly thought there was a little... I'll be honest, I'm very selfish. I've had a long day. I quite frankly couldn't be bothered to do anything other than sit here and rant about things.
Yeah.
But I was genuinely considering, after work, going straight up into London and joining the protests, because it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a huge deal. And just to go back to the whole idea of where we're at, Boris Johnson hasn't, as Prime Minister, voted in by 140,000 Tory members, not even 140,000 people off the part of the public of the country. 140,000 people who are all similarly politically minded.
Who have paid to do that vote.
Have all voted... he's voted in by those guys. Before he's even sat a session in Parliament, he's closed it. He said, right, don't come back. How long can I keep him out for? It's not long enough, but he'll have to do. He will have been in power for about... And this is how insane it is. So he was elected, June? Yeah, mid-June. So June, July, roughly, August, September, October. 4 months. That's a quarter of a year that he would have been in power before he even sits in Parliament, a parliamentary session. That is insane, and it's not through anyone's fault other than his own very worrying needs to stop people stopping him.
I think what upsets me the most is when he was opposing the EU, one of the main things he mentioned was we need to take back and empower our parliamentary democracy. In proroguing, what he has done is taken away the power of the parliamentary democracy. Now the thing is, regardless of what anyone thinks of politicians or anything like that, we vote for MPs for a reason, to represent us in Parliament.
To be our voice, to be our vote.
To be our voice, to be
matters.
our vote, and to debate and fight for the things that they believe and we believe through voting for them are right for our country. Now, in my constituency, and I believe Jake's in the same constituency.
Of course we are. We went to the rally. We were in the same.
Yes, of course we did. My
constituency.
apologies. We have Tom Brake as our MP, who was actually on the debate I was watching this morning. But in our area, actually, we have voted for a candidate who is very much Remain, despite the fact...
He's a Liberal Democrat.
He's a Liberal
he
Democrat.
Is very much...
But he, from the get-go, ran on a manifesto of remaining, and he was re-elected into his seat not that long ago, and he is fighting for Remain.
Fighting for a people's vote.
I'm fighting for a people's vote. I'm trying to remember what my original point was now.
Ramble away, bro. That's what we got the pod for.
But yeah, whatever you think of politics, there is a reason as to why we vote for these people. And what Boris has done has allowed himself for the next 4 months to essentially be a dictator. And going after that, and also what people don't realise, is even if Parliament did vote through in the time they have against no deal Brexit, he still has the ability to ignore them and go through.
This is why he got it. So during the first lot, when Theresa May was pushing, government passed a law to say that under her proposals they couldn't go through without a deal. Now obviously it's a new government, new proposals.
So it doesn't count.
So they've got to essentially do it all again.
Yeah.
That's why he's given them no time. And this is the thing, this is the worrying thing, is that this is politics, this is real life, and yet I can see it playing out like a sitcom, where Boris has got in the room with Theresa and been like, well, you fucked that up. Why did you even... You just let them block you. You know what you should have done? Just send them all home. Shouldn't you be like, well, it's government, you can't just close government to do what you like, and he's gone like, can't I? Swipe back, open up, 6 weeks later, government's closed.
The really...
little notice on the door.
The thing about it though is, I was reading, although what he has done is completely legal, it goes
undemocratic and
immoral. It goes completely against all political norms and what's the word? Traditions. No other. I don't believe any other Prime Minister has ever done it.
No.
Or if they have, it's been a very, very, very long time.
Proroguing has existed in obviously smaller councils, committees around the country.
But in terms of
the parliamentary thing, it's been very much a theoretical thing.
Yeah, and it was always sort of an understood that it was never to be used. And I think the reason Parliament never got rid of that was because they never believed a Prime Minister would be so brazen to actually use it. And the thing is, anyone blaming the Queen, she actually has no choice but to
It's one of those
approve
things
it.
where it's like, hey guys, why do we still have the law about you can walk your sheep across Tower Bridge?
Because no one's going to do it.
I'm not going to. And then one guy starts walking the sheep, fucks up the traffic, and they're like, we should take that law out.
Yeah.
We need to readdress that. And what's happened is everyone was like, well, it's completely immoral. You'd have to be a monster to prorogue.
And then Boris is like getting his bow tie ready.
Messing up his hair.
Well.
Yeah, the undemocratic process is to, we need to...
Parliamentary democracy!
Regain power, the vote with us, and...
That's quite a good impression.
Just kidding, fuck you all.
Until the laugh, that was quite a good impression.
Thank you very much. It's good that I only do monsters.
Yeah.
I couldn't do him until he was a
Can
dick.
you do Hitler?
Listen.
9!
Canna, you've already done Hitler on a previous pod, so that one's yours to claim, my friend.
I don't know if I want to.
We'll get together, but I mean, at least, I don't know, the people who are kind of like glamorising the idea of a no-deal Brexit are the kind of people that would glamorise Hitler and be like, yeah, it was a terrible thing, but he did it with action. He was a man, he took force, he saw what he wanted, he saw...
He was a visionary.
He wanted Warsaw, he went and got Warsaw. Was it right? No, but he did it.
Yeah. It made no sense, but fuck it. He got it done.
Made sense to him.
But I think the truth is, what the country needs going forward is for people to be more engaged. Because the reason we've got to a position where people like Boris, like Trump, get into power is because people do stop paying attention. They do start becoming apathetic, and because I know everyone's busy, and I know everyone works and we all have responsibilities, but you know, it doesn't take much to go onto you or to find a non-biased group like TLDR News on YouTube who just give you the facts of the situation and allow you to make up your own mind. Now, if you listen to the facts and you completely disagree with us, you're completely within your rights to feel that way. But
what happens is there's a balance in politics.
But what frightens me in today's society, and it's the fake news bullshit, it's...
Anyone can say what they want without being
and it goes,
backed up by facts.
It's sort of like the BBC mania gone mad, where you've got to allow the guy in the corner masturbating with a dunce hat on to say whatever he likes just because you've got to be equal. No, like, if you're not an expert on something, why is your opinion being heard on this subject? Like, and I know that probably sounds a bit rich coming from two guys sat with a microphone in a spare bedroom chatting about politics, but I'd like to believe we're coming at it from a perspective of every man, but also that we have looked these things up a little bit, and we're by no means experts, but we're being guided by actual experts, whereas the people on the other side
but we're not taking what they say. We're able to make our own minds up. An expert can say something, and we can say, do you know what, I don't think you're right.
That makes, but if you look at the other side of the coin, and if you listen to those sort of people in debates and being spoken to on the street, it's utter nonsense they're coming out with. It's will of the people. It's we're Britain. We're mighty blighty, and you're just like
the tabloids and the smaller media stations and stuff. They promote these things. They put out these things that just say, the country's lost its way. It's this, that, and the other, and people go, yeah, and you're like, based on what?
Yeah.
Based on what? Some bloke's opinion. Some bloke don't mean shit. Listen to someone who knows what they're talking about.
Go back before David Cameron, what started all this sort of shit off was the papers putting stories out there that some poor woman from the Middle East who came over here with her kids and got given a home because she was running from bombs dropping that we were dropping on her and her family.
Don't get me started on that.
Come over here for a better life to avoid a war-torn country, and they can hear that story and think, scumbags. And that's what starts it off. It's the papers over and over and over again drumming into the general public that it's not the politicians who are fucking you, it's some random family from the Middle East who are avoiding bombs.
Here's the thing, it's the papers whispering. I can't stop saying here's the thing, and I've got to stop apologising for that's about the fourth time this podcast. But here is the thing, for what it's worth. It's the papers whispering in the ear of the little guy going, the whole world's against you. You see all those people out there, they're not people going about their lives, they're scumbags. They're living the life you should have. In fact, your life would be so much better if they weren't living their lives. And you know what? What happens is politics goes to shit, because the papers have always been talking to those people, but politics goes to shit. You and I and everyone else goes, do you know what, none of them represent me. The voting numbers kind of drop, we kind of abstain from dropping. Meanwhile, all these people that are being fed in their ears that previously weren't voting see this right-wing maniac rise up and it's like, he's speaking my language. So the voting numbers stay the same, but actually there's far few people on the left that are voting, whereas those people that are from the far right are voting more and more. That's how these people get into power, because we go, no one represents me, and they go, yes there is, they represent me. It's like, they're talking shit. Nothing, everything that man said in an interview the other day has been completely disproven within the hour. In fact, as they were doing the interview, someone was fact-checking it and proving them wrong.
But it's not on the debate. Again, I was watching this morning, Tom Brake actually said to a woman of the general public who was going on, he mentioned the food shortages, that the heads of the companies have come together and written a letter saying there will be food shortages, and she said, no, that's worst case scenario. He said, no, that's every scenario. That's every scenario.
The only thing that differs is the level of shortage.
And the woman was like, no, that's nonsense.
And this is the thing. He's talking fact. Some papers are talking.
Yeah, and it infuriates me because they just point to people. It's so much easier to raise hatred than hope, and it's far easier to tell the general public that it's someone else's fault. I mean, if you come at it from a different angle and on a different subject, on how the media massively affects how we view certain people. If you hear a young man's been stabbed in London, the first things you're going to think are, he's black and the person who stabbed him's black.
Yeah, and that's all portrayed by the media.
Yeah. And in the space of 12 years, do you want to know how many times the main papers used the phrase back on black crime?
Go on.
198,000 times.
Yeah. It's also, and this is, in here in America, this kind of, but this is gonna, no, that's a whole issue of race. I'm not going to get into race, that's a whole other issue. I'm not going to get into the issue of toxic masculinity, because that's another issue, because the toxic masculinity thing that I was going to mention is pride. We're all too proud, we're all too stubborn, we can't back out now, we've said we're going to do it. It's like bullshit. If, I keep seeing these comparisons that say, and I saw a good one today, in fact, you know what, I've got it here, I'm going to share it with you, because I think it's brilliant, and it just, again, it's one of those, I've seen a few of these, and you all have seen a few of these, and everyone listening will have seen some of these, and you may have even seen this one. So, it says, I'm not saying there wasn't a democratic mandate for Brexit at a time, but this is the comparison. It's just, if I narrowly decided to go to a restaurant that was known for serving chicken, but ordered fish, and they said they're happy to offer me fish, and so far I've been waiting 3 hours, 2 chefs who have promised to cook the fish have quit, the third one is promising to deliver me the fish within the next 5 minutes, whether it's cooked or uncooked, and the waiting staff have spent the last few hours arguing amongst themselves about whether I wanted battered cod, grilled salmon, jelly deals or dolphin kebabs. All the while, large parts of the restaurants are on fire, but none of the staff seem to be paying attention to it. Then, just once, I'd like to be asked again if I'd still like the fish. And I think that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah, it does.
2 people have said they can do it have left.
Yeah.
Actually, well, one, but two people have said they do it have left. One's promising that they'll do it, but nothing like you wanted to do it.
No.
The rest of them are all arguing about whether you actually wanted it like this or this, and it's like, no. Yeah. No one asked me how I wanted it, and all the while the country's going to pot, and we're just all looking around going, we'll get it there.
I mean, for me in general, in politics and in life overall, the best part for me, and I consider myself left-leaning, which sort of means sort of a socialist sort of attitude where I think we should be nicer to each other, share things.
Look, you're a communist and I'm a hippie, let's just throw it out.
Yeah, but when you think to the other side of the coin, if you go right to the right, it's so much more cussing, it's so much more aggressive. I have no issue with capitalism, I don't have an issue with big corporations or anything like that. I use a lot of them.
I do, and that's why
one of my favourite companies is Amazon. I think it's a fantastic company, but I'd like to pay more tax in my country. I don't think the two have to be mutually exclusive. I believe people who earn more should pay more tax, but I also believe people on benefits, if they are capable of doing more for those benefits, should do more for their benefits. But
it's a fair system.
But there has to be a human element to all of it. And the only way to reach any compromise or understanding of any situation as a group, as a collective, as a country, as a nation, is understanding, not aggression, not screaming will of the people, not screaming we hate Boris or anything like that. And it's just through working together.
It feels very 80s as well. It feels like there's just a lot of buzzwords being thrown out.
Yeah.
It's sort of like in the episode of Family Guy when Lois runs for local office. Like, it might even be like a school position or something. And she answers every question with 9/11. They're like, what are you going to do about the taxes in the school? And she's like, 9/11 was bad. And they're like, yeah. And then they're like, what are you going to do about the current reform in the education system? She's like, 9. They're like, oh, hold on. 11. Like, fucking yeah, vote her in. I feel like it's very much like that. People just, like you said, it's will of the people, it's all this kind of stuff, and it's just like, but that doesn't mean anything. Brexit means Brexit. And it's like, it doesn't mean anything. It has no backing, it has no political backing. And I think I'd like to wind it down, or start to wind it down, by urging you all, those of you that are in the country anyway, in the UK, because listen, we're international now, baby.
We've got listeners in Finland and the US. I mean, one in each, but...
And listen to the one in the US. I'm coming to you, baby. April 2020. Seriously, email us, Crossing Swords 19.
Jake will come out and meet you. He's going on a road trip to the US.
Crossing 19 at Gmail. I'm heading off near enough your way. I looked up where you were from, because I'm a creep like that. No, seriously, nice backyard, bro.
I'd like to say I'm going to Finland at some point. I'm probably not. But
I'm coming, I'm not, just by coincidence, I happen to be near you.
Yeah.
I'd love to come out and shake your hand.
So dirty the way you just said that.
Thank you for listening.
I happen to be near you.
That's coincidence, Your Honour.
Don't look out your window.
Pure coincidence. No, come on. I'd hide better than that. But I urge the ones that are in the UK, please, and this is the hardest thing that you will have ever done, and I appreciate that, or one of the hardest things you'll ever done, and you'll think it's not that hard, but it is. It's a big ask that I'm asking. Dig down and care again.
Yeah.
Care about what's happening. Care enough to raise your voice, because I know you think one person saying it doesn't matter, but if one person says it and another person says it and another person says it, before you know it, you've got a nationwide choir screaming this information.
Yeah.
And eventually, look, Boris wants to do what the people want, quote unquote. So let's let them know what the people want.
Yeah.
And like I said, it seems you'll think it's being dramatic, and you'll think, oh, it's not that hard to care. It is hard. You'll try and you'll give up after a day or so, because you're like, fucking hell, it's boring, it's shit, they're all incompetent wankers. But please, dig down, care, sign petitions, go on marches. That's the upper end, that's the higher end. I'm not even asking you to do that.
Yeah.
If you'd like to do that, do. Hit us up on Twitter at Swords Crossing. Let us know what marches you plan on going.
And one last thing from me, one thing I would suggest you do is look up the hypocrisy of the people that are shouting the things you're listening to, if you are on the other side of the coin. Look at things that Boris has lied about. Look at things that Nigel Farage has said. Dominic Raab, Sajid Javid. Literally every member of the current cabinet have said that not only is Brexit a disaster, but no deal Brexit is a disaster. But they have all backed Boris and have all are pushing for it. So all I would say is just please check it out for yourselves. And if you listen to it and you still disagree, fair enough. I will respect that. But I'd just like to believe that if you do it with an open mind, you might change your opinion and agree with us. But please, as Jake was saying, get in touch, like, subscribe, share.
If you sign a petition or anything like that, or see an event, even if you're not
tag
going,
us in it.
But even if you're not going, tag us in it. Let us retweet it. Let us put it out there.
Yeah.
And let us let people know about it. Because this is where it comes together. This is where we need to be a community more than ever. A community of people in his fucking communist world and my hippie commune. Let's come together and let's share the love. Let's spread the love.
Yeah.
And let's let everyone know what we want.
With a new hashtag right now. Love each other. Hashtag love each other.
I'm pretty sure that was in a porn I watched.
Hey, some porns will just get it right. Do you know what I mean?
They're all about the hippie community.
They're all about the love.
They are, well, not the ones I watch.
Yeah, well, I won't go into that. And on that bombshell.
And guys, also, like I said, look, rate it, subscribe to it, listen to it, share it.
Yeah.
But just please, this is the single biggest thing going on in our country. Care about it.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. I know I've said that, but it is hard. And also, look, I promise you, bar any major news events like Boris proroguing the government, he can't do that again. Next week will not be politically based.
No, it won't.
We will differ.
Yes.
And we will try and steer clear from Brexit for as long as we can, because we want you to care, and that means not ramming it down your throat.
No.
That means giving you a break and letting you do
But we
other
hope
stuff.
you understand, with this being the biggest news event for a while, we sort of had no choice but to do it.
We were both in agreement. We were both talking
Yeah.
about what we were going to do. There were loads of great ideas floating
But
around.
this was too important and too big.
As soon
not
as
to
the news
discuss
broke, we both messaged each other and was like, "Gotta be,
Yeah.
gotta be."
Yeah.
In the
I
single
think the
biggest,
conversation lasted less than 30 seconds.
in the build up to the single.
It was like
biggest
Prorogue
event.
question mark 100%. Fun.
In the build up to the single biggest event this country's ever faced, political event this country's ever faced, we've had the breaking news of one of the most immoral and shocking political breakaways that we've ever had.
Yeah.
But please care. It's a big ask. It's a lot. It matters so much.
Love each other.
Hashtag love each other. And on that glorious note, and guys, tune in next week, and I might go back to being Jake. I might not be angry anymore.
I'm pretty sure you're always going to be a bit angry.
I'm a short man. It comes with the territory. I will still be passionate though. But
Love you guys. Take care.
I love you too. Well, you know we love you. We're a hippie and a communist. What else
Yeah.
have we got?